Ezekiel 16 through 19. The Lord's faithless bride. Chapter 16. The Lord's faithless bride. The Lord's everlasting covenant. 17. Parable of two eagles and a vine. 18. The soul who sins shall die. 19. A lament for the princes of Israel. Continuing his analysis of Judah's sins in strongly worded and vividly illustrated sermons, Ezekiel portrays the nation as the Lord's unfaithful wife who has gone after other gods. This spiritual adultery has led to unwise political alliances, the eagles of chapter 17, which can only end in disaster, the caged lions of chapter 19. But amid the imagery of doom and destruction, the prophet portrays a twig of hope. The worthless dead vine will be replaced by a productive cedar of future righteousness, and God's people will be restored to proper relationship with Him. Ezekiel 20 through 23. Israel's continuing rebellion. Chapter 20. Israel's continuing rebellion. The Lord will restore Israel. 21. The Lord has drawn his sword. 22. Israel's shedding of blood. Chapter 23. Oholah and Oholibah. Turning from the present state of wayward Judah, Ezekiel now examines her past and catalogues her history of sinfulness. The commandment has been left unbroken. Idol worship, dishonor of parents, extortion, mistreatment of widows and orphans, profaning the Sabbath, uncleanness, adultery, dishonest business dealing, even child sacrifice. Through it all, God has patiently held back his anger, but no more. I have drawn forth my sword, God declares, and it shall not return any more. Ezekiel 24 through 28. God's judgment upon Judah's neighbors. Chapter 24. The siege of Jerusalem. Ezekiel's wife dies. 25. Prophecy against Ammon. Prophecy against Moab and Seir. Prophecy against Edom. Prophecy against Philistia. 26. Prophecy against Tyre. 27. A lament for Tyre. 28. Prophecy against the prince of Tyre. A lament over the king of Tyre. Prophecy against Sidon. Israel gathered in security. Even personal tragedy can become an opportunity for prophetic testimony. When Ezekiel's wife dies, God does not permit the prophet to exhibit any public display of mourning, which pictures the inexpressible grief soon to befall Judah. Next, the prophet turns the verbal missiles of God's judgment upon Judah's neighbors, showing that no nation is exempt from God's discipline. Ezekiel 29 through 32. Prophecy against Egypt. 29. Prophecy against Egypt. 30. A lament for Egypt. Egypt shall fall to Babylon. 31. Pharaoh to be slain. 32. A lament over Pharaoh and Egypt. As Ezekiel moves through the 4 points of the compass, he focuses at the last on Egypt, the longtime enemy of God's people. In contrast to so many of Judah's neighbors, Egypt would not be totally destroyed, but would be reduced to a place of insignificance. Captivity would come and the glory of Pharaoh would fade. But God would not be finished with the people of Egypt. After scattering them, he would raise them up again, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Ezekiel 33 through 36. The Lord's covenant of peace. 33. Ezekiel is Israel's watchman. 34. Prophecy against the shepherds of Israel. The Lord God will seek them out. The Lord's covenant of peace. 35. Prophecy against Mount Seir. 36. Prophecy to the mountains of Israel. The Lord's concern for his holy name. Ezekiel's emphasis shifts from the failure of Judah's past to the promises of Judah's failure. Jerusalem has fallen, and the prophet's tongue, silenced for 3 years, is loosened at last to declare that a new shepherd is coming. As a leader to the leaderless, he will tenderly care for the flock of Israel, rescue his people from their scattered homes of exile, and restore them to their covenant land. Ezekiel 37 through 39. The Valley of Dry Bones. 37. The Valley of Dry Bones. I will be their God, they shall be my people. 38. Prophecy against Gog. 39. The Lord will restore Israel. In a vision retold with such a vivid detail that you can almost see the bones moving and can hear them rattling, Ezekiel announces Israel's future rebirth. Reassembled from afar and revived with God's own breath of life, the sun-bleached bones become a new Israel, more glorious and powerful than ever before. Then in a second vision, Ezekiel sees the revived nation utterly destroy its last foe, the mysterious and unidentified Magog, after which God is acknowledged by all nations as the mighty conqueror and undisputed victor.